Hi everyone, welcome to Things Lucy Reads. I'm Luce and this is a book haul video. These are all of the books that I bought while I was on holiday in lovely sunny Brisbane. So the first two I bought at QBD in the city. The first one is My Life Had Stood a Loaded Gun by Emily Dickinson, which is one of the Penguin Little Black classics. I bought this because I had one of her poems stuck in my head, and this was literally the only book of her poetry that I could find. I went to every bookshop in the city and this was the only one that any of them had, and I'm a little bit appalled at that actually, because I would have thought that Emily Dickinson would have been easy to find, but apparently she's not. Anyway, so I bought it and I read the poem that was stuck in my head and that was all fine. The next one is quite exciting. I also got it at QBD. It is My Drunk Kitchen by Hannah Hart, which I ended up getting for only $15 because it was out on the clearance rack, because there's a little split in the spine just here. And usually in Australia, I would be paying at least $25, probably 30 or more for this book. So that's really exciting. I haven't really looked through it yet, but I have seen a couple of Hannah's videos and they're hilarious, so I'm very excited. The next group of books I got at a shop called The Book Grocer, which is like publishing overstock, and there is only one in all of Queensland, and it's in Chinatown in Brisbane, and I went there because it was the next suburb over from where we were staying, so I walked down and then took the train back. That's a different story. So most of the shops are priced at $10, and then some books will be $6 or maybe $3, but the one in Brisbane has all of their books for $6, so that was pretty exciting. The first one that I got is Space Exploration by David Ashford, which is just a little book about how the space program got developed and what happened to it and why we don't go anymore, and just the science behind it in general. And that sounds really, really interesting, so I'm excited to read this one. I'm excited to read all of them. I don't know why we all keep saying that. I'm excited to read this, as if you would buy it if you weren't. The next one I got is The Power Book by Jeanette Winterson. I know that this has queer characters in it, and that's pretty much all that I need. And I keep buying Jeanette Winterson books, even though I've only read one, and I didn't actually really like it that much. That was Oranges and Not the Only Fruit, though, so I'm thinking that maybe her actual fiction will be different. The next one I got is The Last Nude by Ellis Avery, which is a lesbian historical fiction novel, which I found out about because of Nicole from Wolf's Whistle. Yeah. Lesbians. What else do you need? The next one I got is The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And then the next book I got is The True Meaning of Smek Day by Adam Rex, which is the book that the film Home was based on. And I really, really adore that movie. I think it's fantastic, and it's probably one of my top 10 favourite films of all time. Yeah, so I'm excited to read this duology. The next one is called Smek for President, and see how they hold up in comparison to the film. The next one I got is The Winner's Crime by Marie Rutkowski, which is the sequel to The Winner's Curse, which I haven't read, but I am not going to be able to pick this book up for any cheaper than $6 anywhere else, so I thought I would get it while I was there and while I could. The next one I got is The Word Exchange by Alina Graydon, which is a dystopia, which I started reading years ago because I borrowed it from the library, but I then got really, really sick, and I was extremely sick for like 10 days. I had a really bad case of the flu, and then I tried to read it then, but I just couldn't concentrate and I couldn't get into it. And then I had so many other things to read that I just took it back to the library, and every subsequent time I've tried to borrow it from the library since then, it has been lost, as in borrowed and not returned. But then every time I go there when I'm not looking to borrow it, it's there. So I don't know what happens. But anyway, I have my own copy of it now that I can read whenever I want. One day I will get back into it and actually finish it, hopefully. Also at the Book Grocer, I got the QI Book of the Dead, which is about people who are dead, some who are famous and should be, some who are famous and shouldn't be, and some who aren't famous but should be. But I cannot show it to you because I have absolutely no idea where it is. I have looked all through my shelves, all through the shelves in the side room where I didn't think it would be, all through my dad's books, and it has disappeared. I have no idea where it is. So just pretend I'm holding it up, I guess. It's green, it's got the QI logo on it. It was $6. I love QI, so it sounded interesting, so I thought that I would grab it. And one of these days I'll find it. The next two books I got from my friend Chiara, who I met up with while I was there in Brisbane. These were books that she'd put up for trade, and I asked if I could have them, and I was going to pay for postage, and then I said, actually, can you wait till I'm in Brisbane and then give them to me in person? And she did. And then also on that trip while I was before we met up, I found 2 books that she was interested in, so I bought them for her, and then so it was like a trade. The first book is Chasing Before by Lenore Applehans, which is the sequel to The Memory of After, which I have right there, and I bought it because it was marketed as Inception meets The Matrix, and I was like, I'm so down for that. So yeah, this is the sequel, and apparently it's not as good as the first one, but we'll see how we go. And then the next one is Goodbye Stranger by Rebecca Stead, which Adriana from Perpetual Pages really loved when she read it, and so I've been kind of low-key looking for it ever since then, and since Chiara was giving it away, I thought I would take it off her hands. Okay, so the next 4 books I got at BW throughout the trip. The first one is Run by Cody Keplinger. I was really excited that this was actually at BW because I was not expecting to see it there, so I grabbed it, and I'm pretty sure that one of the characters in this is blind, so that's really cool as well, and that would make it own voices because so is Cody Keplinger. The next one I got is Half Lost by Sally Green, which is the conclusion to the Half Bad trilogy, which I've only read the first one for, but I loved it and I'm really excited to finish it off. But this one is very concerning because it is half the size of Half Wild, and I'm just like, how is it going to be wrapped up in such a small book? How did that even happen? Anyway, but I like this one because it doesn't have the rubberized cover like the other 2 do. I freaking hate rubberized covers. The next book that I got at BW is Trust Me I'm Trouble by Mary Elizabeth Summer, which is the sequel to Trust Me I'm Lying, which I haven't read, but I know that in this one there is a FF relationship that isn't in the first one, but there's one in this one, which is hella exciting. So thanks Dahlia Adler for telling me that, and I'm excited to read them. And the last book that I got at BW is the Ever Never Handbook by Soman Chainani, which is a companion to the School for Good and Evil series, which I love. I haven't read the last book, but I'm going to. This book is super heavy. Like, I swear it weighs like a kilo on its own because it's got like glossy paper in it and stuff about the series, and I've actually spoiled myself for the 3rd book just by flicking through that, so good job me. The next 2 books I got at the Lifeline in Bulimba, which exclusively sells books, and it is amazing and I love it, and Chiara and I went there specifically. The first one that I'm going to show you is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which I only paid $5 for, and it's pretty much brand new. There's a few little very faint bendy bits on the front cover here, but other than that it's in perfect condition, and I'm just so happy to have found it for so cheap because that's amazing. Yeah, and I've started reading it. I'm up to chapter 14 and it's so good so far, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it as much as everyone else. And then the next book that I got, which was $8, is More Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin, which is the second in the Tales of the City series, but it's the only one I didn't own. I have all of the others, but I didn't have this one. So yeah, I'm really happy to own it, and now I'm going to finally read that series. Good. The next books I bought at Dimmicks. Spent far too much money there, but don't I always? The first one is Luck in the Shadows by Lynn Llewellyn, which is the first book in the Night Runner series, which Winks and Ink, I think, has been reading lately. Anyway, there's queer characters in this, and yeah, come on, as if I need any other reason to read it. And that's pretty much a theme for all of the rest of the books too, except this one, which is Zeros by Chuck Wendig, which I picked up because I love his Star Wars books. The Aftermath trilogy, they're like my life. Love them so much. And so I decided that I would read some more of his work. I'm excited to read it because Chuck Wendig is great, and I follow him on Twitter and he's amazing. The next book I got is The Last Beginning by Lauren James, which is the sequel to The Next Together. Again, like Trust Me I'm Trouble, this one has lesbians in it. The first one didn't, but this one does, and just yes. And then the next one I got is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. This one apparently has nearly an entire cast of queer characters. Like, no one, I mean, people have said that there's queer characters in it, but I thought it was just like one stray lesbian and not, you know, at least 4 that I've been told about by Chiara. So I'm really excited to get to this one, so because I think it's going to be fantastic. And then the next one is Starstruck by Jenny McLaughlin. This one also has lesbians in it. We were just walking through the YA section and Chiara was like, oh, this book is about queer characters, and I was like, nope, I'm going to buy it. And she was like, this book is about queer characters, and I was like, oh, yep, hand it over. $90 later. Oops. The next one is Read Me Like a Book by Liz Kessler, which is about a girl who gets a crush on her English teacher. So, her female English teacher. obviously. Yes. And then because I got at least $6 of points from buying all of those and on previous trips, I used them to get some money off Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, which has a demisexual character and I think a couple of other kinds of queer characters. Not sure. Anyway, really, really excited to read all of those because, yes. The next books I got from this amazing bookshop called Archives, which is a couple of streets away from the mall. I had a $50 gift voucher that my sister gave me for my birthday, and I'd never been into the shop, but on every other trip I was like, oh, I really want to go to that shop, and then we never do. So I got a gift voucher, so we went this time, and it's like, I wasn't that impressed with it the first time I went, but then I went back and it's amazing. I'm going to go there all the time now because it's fantastic. It's massive. And there were just so many books there that I never even expected to find ever in my life. And they were all there. And so that was just really exciting. And then the first one that I got there is About a Girl by Joanne Horniman, which I'd been looking at Dymocks, and it was $18. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. And I don't want to spend $18 on a book that I don't know if I'm going to like. And then I went to Archives and they had it there for $7.50 and I had a gift voucher, so I didn't even have to pay real money. So that was basically the highlight of the trip. And I've already read this and I'll talk about it in my wrap up. And then the next book that I got there is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, and I do have the whole series in a bind up right here, but also that's not really portable. So I've been kind of irrationally wanting just a copy of the first one so that I can read it and not be shackled to this massive hardcover that's beautiful, but it's massive and it's heavy. And yeah, and I had a gift voucher, so why not? And then the next book I got is a little bit beat up, but also I haven't seen a copy of this in as good a condition as this anywhere. And it is Lark Rise to Candlefoot by Flora Thompson. I have seen the entire TV show because I bought it for my mum one year, and I love it so much. It's fantastic. Dorcas and her one weakness is my favorite. Her many one weaknesses. She has about 20. It's hilarious and I loved it a lot, and I'm excited to read the book as well. And then the next one that I picked up is Maestro by Peter Goldsworthy, which is like a classic Australian novel, but I was in the wrong English class, so I never read it at school. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that there's a little bit of a homoerotic thing happening between the main character and his piano teacher, but I'm not entirely sure, and I was going to include it in a video for Letterbomb, but I decided that I should probably read it first and find out because I don't want to get that wrong. Everyone in that English class hated it, but hopefully I will like it. And then the next book I got is Two Women by Harry Mulisch, who is a Dutch author, and I know about him because my best friend Joanna sent me his book The Assault, which is set during World War II, and she really, really loves that book, so she sent me a copy, and I haven't actually read it yet, but I will eventually. And I picked this one up because there's lesbians in it. So yeah, that's a thing. Are you sensing a pattern? And then the last book that I picked up in a similar vein to Maestro is Two Shanes by Lee Tulloch, which has been on my book mooch wish list for ages, but I can't actually remember where I found out about this book. And I think maybe one of the Shanes is gay. I know that there is a lesbian side character, but I'm not sure, but I think maybe one of the Shanes is, but I don't know. I'd have to read it. But I've never seen this book in real life ever in my life. So that was exciting when I found it there. And this is a really nice cover too, and it's in really nice condition. This has like super low ratings on Goodreads, but also only like 10 people have rated it there. So like I'm not going to go too much on that. So yeah, hopefully I like it. And it was actually pretty funny because I added up all of these books that I bought, and the total came to $49, and my gift card was for $50. But somehow they added it up so that after all of the books had come off, there was still like $11 on there. I have no idea how they did it because they used a calculator to add it all up, and they looked in the cover of every book, but somehow I ended up with $11 more on that gift card than I should have. So anyway, my dad got a book, and then I just didn't worry about the rest of the gift card because we were leaving the next day, and like they'd added it up wrong. There was only supposed to be $1 on there anyway, but oh well, these things happen. I'm not really complaining because, well, my dad got that benefit, not me, but whatevs. So yeah, those are the many books that I bought in Brisbane, and let me tell you, carting them home on the plane as hand luggage was a very, very fun time. Actually, it wasn't so bad. They fit into 2 post boxes, and I was able to, carry them all myself, and they fit in the overhead locker, and it was all fine. But I was just very, very anxious about that for the last 3 days, and it was an experience. And probably next time I go there, if I buy this many, I will literally send them to myself, like I was going to do this time, except the Monday that we left was a public holiday, so I couldn't do that. And I didn't realize that it was a public holiday until the weekend before, and all the post offices had closed, and I was like, oh god. So let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.